Hi everyone, in this video we're going to go over how to build a header with Elementor using the new Elementor update. Elementor is a plugin, a page builder plugin that's used to create pages and sections on your site without the need for actual coding, because every single block is pre-coded for you and you just decide which kind of element that you want and drag and drop it onto wherever you want on the site. So it's really good for anyone who's not who doesn't have much of a technical background but still want to design their own site and build their own site for themselves. Elementor Pro comes with the addition of the theme builder. Theme builder allows you to customize core parts of your theme, things like your header, footer, single product, single pages, things like that. And that's part of the Pro version. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you have your Elementor plugins installed and updated. You can just go into plugins on WordPress backend and just check that. And you want to make sure that you have both Elementor and Elementor Pro in order to access the Elementor header settings. And you also want to make sure everything's updated as well. So the first thing that you want to do is go into templates, and within templates there's a menu for theme builder, and you want to click on that. Within the theme builder you want to click on header as the header parts, and you want to click add new. And you can see when you first open the theme, the header theme, you have the option to actually use pre-designed themes headers for you. So for example, any of these you're actually free to use. They come as part of Elementor's templates, and Elementor have a lot of templates. They're free to use, they come with your license, and they also are fully responsive as well. So if you wanted to use one of those, all you need to do is click on the one that you want, click on the plus just to see it in full and interact with it as well. And then if you're happy with that, you just click insert, and it'll insert that theme for the header for you. And you can see it's all there. The only thing you would need to do now is just make sure that the branding is how you want it. Update the imagery and update the colors if you wanted to. And that's if you were to use the theme. You could also just build it from scratch as well. So if you decide not to go for the template, this is what you'll see. You'll just see a blank version, and you'll see the footer as well. A good header is very clear. It's not too busy with different and doesn't overwhelm users with a lot of options. It has all your branding and is also mobile responsive. So the first thing that you want to do is add a section. And you can see this plus button, and it'll ask you to select your structure. So Elementor works in section structures, and within those section structures are columns, and within those columns are the elements. So you can see in terms of structure, there's different structure layouts. There's like a 2-column structure here, there's a 1-column structure here, 3-column, 4-column, and then you've got uneven structures as well. In this example we'll do a 3-column layout, but we'll use this one here where the columns are 2 on each end that are exact size but smaller, and the one in the middle is slightly bigger. And you can see that's kind of automatically added as well. The width of this will take your site width. So if you go into site settings, you can see what the content width is. If you go into layout, and this is the content width as 1140, you can obviously increase the width of that as well, but it's always good to keep it within the content width. We will increase that to 155, and you can see it's a little bit more full width now. So the way this will be added is usually you want to add a logo first. So to do that, you just drag on the image block here and drag that over to the logo, to what the logo is going to be. Then you want to click into that onto the editor, so you can see what you can edit and actually add your logo, just in the choose image part, and you can see that's been added as well. What you can do is resize it, so that maybe might be a bit too big. So you can either use image sizing and use default image sizing, like for example WooCommerce thumbnail, medium thumbnail, things like that. We'll keep it to the thumbnail image for now. And what you can also do is align it as well. You can also resize the column structure and just make it smaller that way, and then you've got slightly smaller layout anyway here. The next thing you want to do is add the menu, so I'm going to add the menu here. So you want to go back to the element list here, and you're looking for the menu element. You'll see it under the site, and you're looking for a nav menu. And you want to select the menu, so we've got the primary menu here, and you've got the menu over here as well. And then what you can do afterwards is add a call to action. So it's really good to add a final kind of call to action separate to the menu, to lead customers to wherever it is that you want to go. If you want more customers to lead to your contact page, then what you can do is add it as a button. So if we go back to the editor here and look for the button widget, click and drag that over. We can change that to read contact, and that makes the call to action stand out a bit more, and kind of entices your user to click on that. If you want users to go to your shop page more, then you can have that as a call to action. You leave that as foo shop. Essentially the main call to action that you want people to do, the main thing that you want people to do, whether that's to buy, to get in contact, to inquire, you want to add that as a separate call to action as a button to make that a bit more eye-catching to the user, and to draw them towards what are the main thing that you want users to do. So we'll leave that as inquire now. They'll link to the user's contact page. So you want to go into link here, and you're just going to type in contact, and you want to link to the contact page. That is basically the bare minimum that we're going to add to our header. So what we're going to do now is style it a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is click onto the menu and align it to the middle. And then you can see when I hover over, I've got a sort of pointer at the bottom. It's set to underline by default. You can overline, which will put it at the top. You can see up here. You can also do double line, and you can see that kind of boxes it in. And then you've got framed, which will kind of put which will kind of put like a frame on each link. You've got background, so it'll add a background to each of the links, and then you've got text, and this will basically just increase the hover functionality of your nav menu. You can also just pick none, and have it not do any kind of animation apart from just changing colors. It's up to you. So in this case we'll just keep it to text, and you can see within the text there's like different text animations that you can have. So for example, if we did skew, it does kind of skew the text a little bit, rotate. You've got a number of different options for the text animation. The next thing that you want to do is use a sub-menu indicator, and this is good if you have drop downs and it's essentially asking you what you want that icon to look like. So by default it's this drop down, but you can use Elementor's icon library to see which one you actually like. So obviously you want to pick something that's like a downward facing arrow, but you can use whichever one that you want. Or you can just click on none. However, if you do have submenus, it's ideal if you do have a submenu indicator. Otherwise people aren't really going to know that there's drop down unless they accidentally come across it by hovering over it. The next thing is the mobile drop down. So this is asking you for the mobile breakpoint. So essentially at what point of a user's screen size do you want it to break, essentially, so that it shows the mobile version of the nav menu. So right now by default it's set to tablet, so on tablet mode then it'll show the mobile menu. If you'd rather it show the mobile menu on mobile, then switch that to mobile, and now when we go to mobile, it's showing the mobile menu only. You can also set it to none, but I recommend putting it either in mobile or even tablet if you think the space works better. So essentially, you just pick the breakpoint at which this in the menu turns into a mobile menu. Full width, so this is basically to stretch the drop down of the menu to full width. So if you do have a menu drop down, if you go here, you can see it goes full width, as opposed to when it's not full width, there's kind of it's barred off as well. So you can see the difference just like that. So it's up to you. It's a lot of personal preference. If you like the full width style, go with the full width style. If you don't like the full width style, then just go with the normal kind of drop down preference. Then you've got a line, and this is this is just for the mobile menu. So if you want the text to be in the center, you would change the alignment to center, and if you want it to aside, then you change the alignment to aside. Again, this is down to personal preference. If the user were to click in this white space, it would still take them to where the link is, so the functionality is still the same. It's just a matter of preference if you prefer to have it in the middle, or if you prefer to have it off to the side. Then you've got the toggle button. So this is essentially what kind of button that you want it to show. You can have it as a hamburger. You can also have it set to none. In order to save space, it's better obviously just to have it as the hamburger, but then what you can do is you can change the icon. So by default it's the toggle icon, but you can pick one that you prefer from the icon library, or if you want, you can always upload your own. So if you click on upload CSV or upload SVG, and you need to enable unfiltered downloads in order to do this, but you can upload your own SVG file and upload your own icons as well. And then finally, toggle align. So it's similar to the text align. So do you want the toggle to be on the left? Do you want it in the center? Do you want it on the right? So something that you prefer, basically. It's personal preference, but you also need to think about where the user's hands are going to be and where they're most likely to click. Usually the menu stays on the right. You can put it on the left. Putting it center might be a bit is not as common, so either left or right I think would work. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the background color a little bit. So I'm going to go into section, and I'm going to go into style and change the background type, and I want to match it to the green logo. So what you can do with that is if you click into color and you look at this color sampler, you can actually use this to color sample certain colors, and it'll automatically change, or as a preview, to the color that you've just color matched. So that's that's part of Elementor's new update, so you can color match really easily if you wanted to. And then once you have that color, what you can do is you can also add it and create it as a new global color. We'll call it logo green because it's the green that's in the logo. And now we've got the background to match the logo, basically. So the logo is kind of in its own space. The next thing I want to do is align this content and align the button content to the middle. So I'm going to go into the column settings, and where it says vertical alignment, default is set to top, but I'm going to set it to middle, and now that's been brought to the middle, so it's not so close to the top. And I'm going to do the same with this column, and I've changed the vertical alignment to middle. So now I've got this content here, and now that I've changed the background, I also want to now change the color of the font here to white, so it's a little bit easier to see. So I'm clicking into the element here, and I'm going to go into style, and I'm looking for text color, and you can see within the menu there's different states. Basically there's the normal state. So this kind of refers to the different hover states, basically. So you've got normal, so this is when the nav menu is in its normal state. Then you've got hovers. Whenever someone hovers over one of the links in the nav menu, change the styling here. Then you've got active. So this is when it's on the page that the person has currently clicked on. You can change the text color there. So for normal, I'm going to switch back to normal, and then we'll change the text color to white. And then for hover, I'm going to change the text color to black. So now when I hover over these, it's going to go to black. It's up to you if you want the active to stay as the same color as normal, or you can have it to stay as the color of black. It's up to you basically how you just want to do that, but essentially you want to differentiate between the different states so that users know what they're clicking on and what page that they're on essentially. Also within styling, you can choose to add dividers, and you can choose what kind of dividers, divider styling, the width and height and color of them, if you think that might help the separation, or if you prefer the look of it. Again, it's just down to personal preference. And that's it. So what other things that you can do with the styling is you can change the padding and space between. So if I click on space between and drag it, you can see it increases the space a little bit. You don't want to space it out too much, but you do want to kind of use the space that's been given, and make sure it's easy for users to kind of click on each individual one. You can change the styling of the drop down as well. So you can change the text color, and this is essentially the text color of the links on the drop down. What I'll do is, so we'll save this as draft, and we'll go back to the menu, and we can add a drop down as well, just so we can see. If we go to exit, and we go on to menus, and make sure that you're selecting the primary menu, and we'll add, say, the profile to the menu, and we'll put that under the My Account and just save that. So now we have a drop-down menu on the back end, so we're going to style that on the front end. So we'll go back to templates, theme builder, and we're going to click on Elementor header, and this is the one that we've just been editing, and we're just going to click on edit. So now if we go back to the nav menu styling, go into style and go into drop down, we can see we've got the menu indicator, and you've got the drop down here. What we can do is change the background color to the logo green. You can see that one there, but you can see it kind of blends in too much, so we'll maybe keep it to white. And we can change the text color either to green, or we can change it to black. And similar to the main menu, there's different states for the drop down. So if we go into hover, so the normal state is green text and white background, and the hover text we can change to black background and white text. So you can see this is the styling in drop-down styling in the normal, and this is the hover to how we wanted it, and it kind of reflects similar to the way the nav menu works as well. And again, with the active, you can decide if you want it to follow the same styling as normal, or if the same styling as hover. So again, within drop-down styling, you can change the border type if you wanted to add a border to all of them. And the border kind of applies itself onto the outside of the nav menu container, and you can decide which kind of border type that you want. And then within that, you can change the border radius. This is again just for the drop down. What you can also do is change the horizontal or vertical padding. So if we increase the vertical padding, for example, you can see it increases the padding that way. It's usually good to set to default anyway, but if you want to add more padding to each of them, you can. And again, you can set a divider as well if you need to. So this will show whenever you have multiple drop downs, links in your drop down, it'll add a divider similar to how these dividers have been added, and you can change the width and color of all of them. The next thing then is the toggle button, so styling the toggle button. So if you want to style that, it's best to put your menu in mobile mode, and you can see we can change color and background. So color being the color of the actual icon, we can maybe change that to white, and the background color then we can change to maybe black, and you can see that's kind of updated here. Then you've got the hover state as well. This isn't really used so much if you're on mobile, as you can't really hover on icons on mobile, you just click on them. So you're really just sticking to the toggle button here as the normal hover state. So the next thing that I want to edit is the contact button. So the first thing I want to do is change the alignment to center, so it's centered a little bit. And then I want to go into style and change the styling of all of them. So we've got the color of the background as green. I'm going to change that to black to make it stand out a bit more. And then obviously I'm going to change the text color, and I'll change that to white. So you can see I've got the button, call to action button, and it stands out a bit more that way. The next thing I want to do is change the hover state. So right now there's no hover state, there's no difference in the hover colors, and you obviously with the buttons you want to make sure that there is a different styling for the hover button. So you click into that, and then you change the background type, and I am going to change it to white. You can see when I hover over that it goes to white, and I'm going to change the text color, and I'm actually going to change the text color to the logo green, and you can see I've got that changed now. So again, we want to make sure that you add the call to action button and make it stand out as much as possible by using the different colors, but obviously you want to use colors that actually go with the theme and go with the other colors that you're using. So I've got the basics set up, and I've got the basic color set up. Looking at it, I think it's a bit wide, like quite thick, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reduce the size of the logo a little bit, as that's the image, as that's the bit of element that's actually stretching it. So I'm going to change the max width and change the width of it a little bit. And you kind of want to just play around with this. You don't want to make it too small, obviously, but you do want to kind of improve it so that this menu isn't so large. And then if you click on this button here to kind of see what the image looks like, you can see it's a bit smaller, and you can see there's space now for everything as well. And then other things you can sort of add as well is like a top navigation bar. So if you click on this plus sign and then add a one column structure, what we'll do is we'll change the content width to match the content width of the other one. And what you can do is if you wanted to add more but you don't want to make it so busy, so for example you want to add social icons, you can actually add them as a top bar, at the top, so you can essentially add more things, but you don't want to make the nav bar too busy. So for example, I'm going to add some social media icons in a different colorway as to the bottom nav bar, and we'll change the styling of them. So we'll see custom color, primary color being the logo green maybe, and we'll leave the secondary color as white, and then instead we'll change the logo, the hover color to invert the colors, and then we'll also update the styling. So you can see this top bar isn't aligned with the button. That's because the button is line centered. So what I'll do is align this button to the left, and you can see it's a bit more aligned now. And another thing we can add is maybe some contact information, so maybe like a phone number and email. So what we'll do is we'll add another column to the top bar. We'll swap the columns over because I want the social media links on the right, and on the left we'll add the maybe a phone number and an email, and I'm going to add that as a list. So you can see there's an icon list here, and I'm going to change the layout to inline so it's all beside each other. And the first thing I'm going to add is the email. So I'm going to add the email list here. And I'm going to change the icon to an email so people know that this is an email that they can email at any time. And the next one I'm going to change is the phone number. And I'm going to again change the icon to a phone number. And then I'm going to go into styling and make sure that the styling matches everything that I've used so far. And then we'll change the hover color as well. So now when we hide the navigator, you can see you've got a top bar. So it's adding top bars are a good way to add more content to your nav bar without making the actual nav bar look too busy. So it's good to add things like your contact information at the top and social media links, because the contact information acts as contact information and it'll appear on every single page. So if at any time someone wants to email or phone, it's they're being taken to that page really easily. And the social media links as well, if they ever want to go into your social media, they can do that on any single page. It also acts as external linking, which Google like to see. If there's external links on your page, social media links will count, and in the header means that they'll be able to count on every single page as well. So I'm happy with everything on desktop. The next thing I'm going to do is check the responsive mode and make sure everything's good on mobile. So with the top bar, depending on how much space everything's been taken, you can choose to hide the top bar. So if you go into the section here, go into advanced and go into responsive, we can choose to hide that on mobile. Again, it just depends on how much space that there is taking. We'll unhide it for now and we'll fix the mobile spacing on this, and maybe that will help. So the first thing we're going to do is change the image and make it a bit smaller. And the next thing we want to do is I want to put this toggle onto the right hand side of the logo. The way mobile works is that each column now takes up 100% by default. So this column is 100% width, this column is 100% width, and this column is 100% width. So what I want to do is change each of these to 50% each, so that it automatically goes in line. So this column here, I'm going to click into the column, and you can see column width as a percentage, and I'm going to change that to 50. And then I'm going to do the same with this column. It's at 100%, I'm going to change that to 50. And you can see they're now beside each other because both these columns in total make 100 instead of each column being 100 each. You can see now I need to update the image width again because it's gone a bit too small. So I'm going to increase it a bit like that. And with the icon, I am going to change that toggle alignment to the right. So that is now set as the mobile section. And this column here, it's taking up too much space, so what I'm going to do is go into click into the column, click into responsive, and hide just that column on mobile. And you can see this is what it looks like on mobile now. Again, this might be a bit too much, so what we can do is maybe we can try adding hiding this column on mobile instead of the entire section. This isn't too bad. What we can do is see if we can change the space between to see if we can get it all in one line. It's a bit squishy, so maybe I'll change the text size and then increase the width again a little bit. Okay, so this is looking pretty well. So we've got the contact information and we've got the menu all here as well, and I'm quite happy with that. So it's just about sort of playing around with each column and making sure everything looks okay, and making sure that everything is mobile responsive as well. Another good feature of WordPress, of Elementor Builder, is that you can set different publishing different headers for different pages. So you see where it says publish, you just want to click on that, and you can see there's different conditions to add your template. And these are called display conditions. So each theme builder parts has an option for display conditions, and it basically just means it'll only display certain template parts on your website depending on if it meets certain conditions. So for example, if you click on display conditions, if you click add conditions, for headers, immediately the first option is to add the template on the entire site. So if you click on that, it's gonna use this. It's gonna add this template to your entire site. The other thing you can do then is have it on certain pages. So if you click into, instead of entire site, and you go into singular, and what you can do is you can have it just set to front page. So what that means is it'll only use this template on the front page of your website, so your home page. So you can have one header for your home page and another header for your for the rest of your site. And you can do the same with every single type. So if you want to do it on a specific page, you can do it on, for example, if you only want this header on the account page, you just search for account, and now this template will only show on the account page. You can always show it on certain pages that are that are in categories. So for example, if there's a certain category that you want in your posts that have different headers, all you need to do is go into posts and select which category is that post meant to be in, and whether that's uncategorized. You want to make sure that you have the category set up first before adding the display conditions for it. The other things you can do is also for WooCommerce. So if you click into WooCommerce, and what you can do is you can set it for certain product archives, have a heading for shop page, have one for search results, have one for certain categories, products in certain categories, things like that. So that's it. Once you've got your site header display condition set up, you can see what the site looks like with that header, and you can sort of decide basically for yourself how you want different pages of your site to be, and if you're wanting different headers, you can have them using the display conditions. Another thing you can do actually before that I missed is you can actually link the logo to the home page, which is something that's recommended because a lot of people do now expect with the logo to take you to the home page. So in order to do that, all you need to do is edit the header again, click into this here and go into link, go into custom URL, and you want to just make it link to the home page, and just click update. So now that's a link to the home page, and it just means then you have a really easy way to get back to your home page. It also just means if you have more stuff you want to add to your nav bar but you don't want to make it busy, you can actually remove the home from your nav bar, and because people kind of instinctively know to go to the logo in order to get to your in order to get back to the home page. But that's it. So that's using the updated Elementor plugin to build a home page, or to build a header. Hope you enjoyed this video.